You have $214 in your bank account. Rent is due in 9 days. And you already know, it's not going to be enough. That's it. That's the whole story for most people. Not once. Not twice. Every single month. For years. This is not a story about money. Not really. This is a story about the invisible rules that separate the people who always have enough from the people who never do. And the terrifying part? Most people never even find out those rules exist. You were never taught how money actually works. Nobody sat you down and explained that financial discipline isn't about being cheap. It isn't about coupons or skipping your morning coffee. It's about something much deeper. Something psychological. Something that lives inside the way you see yourself, the way you make decisions at 11 p.m. when you're exhausted, the way you respond to stress, to boredom, to loneliness. Most people stay broke not because they don't work hard. They stay broke because they are operating without a system. And a person without a system will always lose to a person who has one. Let's start at the bottom. Because that's where most of this story begins. You're 23. Maybe 25. You've got a job. Maybe it's retail, maybe it's a call center, maybe you're doing warehouse shifts 3 days a week and picking up gig work on the side. You're making somewhere between $28,000 and $38,000 a year. Before taxes. You feel like you're doing okay. You're surviving. You're independent. Nobody is paying your bills but you. But here's what's actually happening inside your financial life that you can't see yet. Every dollar you earn arrives and immediately starts disappearing. Rent takes the biggest chunk. Then your car payment, or your transit pass, or your insurance. Then your phone. Then groceries. Then the random stuff, the dinner out with friends because you haven't seen them in 3 weeks and you needed it. The impulsive online purchase at 1 a.m. because you were bored and stressed, the subscription you forgot you were still paying for. By the time the month ends, you have maybe $40 left. Sometimes zero. Sometimes you're carrying a small credit card balance that you tell yourself you'll pay off next month. You won't. Not because you're irresponsible. But because you have no margin. No buffer. No system. You are living in financial reaction mode, which means every unexpected expense, a $300 car repair, a $180 medical copay, a broken phone screen, sends you into a mini crisis. You handle it. You always handle it. But handling it costs you. Every time you dip into credit, every time you borrow from next paycheck, you fall just a little further behind. And falling behind has a momentum of its own. This is where most people live. And what's terrifying is that most people don't even realize they're in a trap. They think this is just life. They think everyone lives like this. They think the people who don't are just lucky, or born into money, or some kind of financial genius. They're not. Most of them just learned something you haven't learned yet. There's a moment that happens to some people. Not all people. Some. It's usually triggered by something painful. Maybe you check your bank account and it's negative. Maybe a friend mentions almost casually that they just put $500 into their Roth IRA, and you don't even know what a Roth IRA is. Maybe you're sitting in your car in the parking lot of a job you hate, and you do the math, really do the math, and you realize that if nothing changes, you will be doing this exact thing for the next 40 years. That moment cracks something open. You start reading, watching videos, listening to podcasts during your commute. You start to understand things you were never taught. The 50/30/20 rule. The difference between a debit card and building credit responsibly. What an emergency fund actually does for your psychology, not just your finances. You learn that the reason you feel so anxious all the time isn't because you're a weak person, it's because you have zero financial cushion and your nervous system knows it. So you build one. It takes you 8 months. It's painful. You stop eating out as much. You cancel 3 subscriptions. You pick up an extra shift twice a month. You put $75 away every single paycheck into a savings account you make deliberately hard to access. And then something shifts. When your car needs new brakes, $380 at the shop, you pay it. From savings. And you keep going. Your life doesn't stop. You don't go into debt. You don't spend 2 weeks stressed about how you're going to handle it. You just handle it. And then you refill the fund. That feeling, that quiet, solid, unshakable feeling, that is the first real taste of financial discipline. Not restriction. Not deprivation. Stability. And stability changes how you think. It changes how you make decisions. It changes how you sleep. Here's what people at this stage don't see yet. Saving money and keeping it in savings is not wealth building. Savings protects you, but it doesn't grow you. Every dollar sitting in a standard savings account earning 0.01% interest is slowly losing value to inflation. You are treading water. You are safe, but you are not moving forward. The people at the next level understand this. And they've done something you haven't done yet. They've made their money work while they sleep. This is where investing enters the picture. Not glamorous trading. Not crypto speculation. Not watching ticker symbols all day. The boring, invisible, slow-burning kind of investing that nobody talks about at dinner parties because it doesn't make a good story. Index funds. Consistent contributions. Tax-advantaged accounts. Compound interest working quietly in the background like an engine you never have to touch. You start contributing to your 401k at work. At first just enough to get the employer match. Because that match is free money and not taking it is genuinely one of the most expensive mistakes a working person can make. Then you open a Roth IRA. You put in $200 a month. It doesn't feel like anything. The number barely moves. You check it after 3 months and feel vaguely disappointed. But you keep going. Because you've learned something about time that most people don't understand emotionally, even if they understand it mathematically. Time in the market is not the same as timing the market. The person who starts at 24 and contributes steadily will, in almost every real-world scenario, end up with more than the person who starts at 34 and contributes twice as much per month. The difference isn't intelligence. It's not income. It's just starting. It's just consistency. It's choosing boring over exciting, again and again for years. But this stage has its own trap. And most people fall right into it. As your income grows, maybe you got a promotion, maybe you switched jobs, maybe you started a side hustle, your lifestyle grows with it. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the most psychologically seductive forces in personal finance. You've been disciplined for 2-3 years. You deserve better things. You worked hard. Why shouldn't you enjoy it? So you upgrade your apartment. You buy a newer car. You start going to nicer restaurants. You take a real vacation for the first time in years. And none of these things are wrong individually. But together they consume the raise before it even touches your investment account. Your income went up by $800 a month, and your expenses went up by $750 a month, and you feel richer but you're barely moving faster than before. The people who break past this level are the ones who make one decision that feels almost counterintuitive. When income goes up, they increase their investments first. Before the new apartment. Before the upgraded car. Before the vacation. They automate it so the money moves before they ever see it in their account. And they build their lifestyle around what's left. It's not glamorous. It doesn't make a good Instagram post. But 5 years later, they have an investment portfolio that looks like something. 10 years later, it looks like something serious. Now you are at a completely different level. You have an emergency fund that covers 6 months of expenses. You're maxing out your Roth IRA every year. You're contributing 15% of your income to retirement. Your investments have gone through one market correction, and you didn't panic because you understood that a correction is not a crash, it's a discount. You bought more. Your relationship with money has changed. Fundamentally. Psychologically. You used to think about money in terms of surviving the month. Now you think in terms of decades. You used to check your account balance with anxiety. Now you check it like someone checking the score of a game they're winning. You used to spend first and save what's left. Now you invest first and live on what's left. These are not just different habits. They are different identities. And here's what no one tells you about reaching this level. It gets lonely. Not because your life is bad, but because the people around you, friends, family, coworkers, are still operating at earlier levels. They want to go out every weekend. They're going on trips, they're putting on credit cards. They're buying things to feel something. And you can see it now in a way you couldn't before, the cycle they're in, the trap they don't know they're in. And you can't say anything because no one wants to hear it. So you just keep going. Quietly. Alone. This is where things get strange. Your investment portfolio has grown to a point where the returns in a good year are more than what you were making at your first job. Not because you're a genius. Not because you got lucky. Because you were consistent for a long time, and compound interest is not a metaphor. It is a mathematical force that rewards patience more ruthlessly than almost anything else in the financial world. You start to think about income differently. You've been trading time for money your whole career. But now you have assets that generate income without your time. Dividends. Interest. Appreciation. These numbers are small at first, maybe a few $100s a month, but they represent something enormous. Proof that the system works. That you don't have to be present for money to move in your direction. This changes what you're willing to do with your time. You stop taking projects that pay well but drain you. You start being selective about your energy in a way that would have seemed arrogant 5 years ago. You're not rich yet, not by the conventional definition. But you are free in a way that most people will never experience. Free from the month-to-month panic. Free from the anxiety of a single bad week destroying everything. Free to say no. And saying no to the wrong opportunities, the wrong relationships, the wrong uses of your time, turns out to be one of the most valuable financial skills there is. Here's the thing about financial discipline at the highest level. It stops being about money. The people who reach genuine financial independence, not lottery winner wealth, not inherited wealth, but built from zero, decision by decision, decade by decade financial independence, they will tell you that the money was never really the goal. The money was the vehicle. The goal was options. The goal was time. The goal was never having to do something purely because you needed the paycheck. You've changed. The person you were at 23, staring at a $214 bank balance, anxious and exhausted, that person would not recognize the way you think now. That person made decisions based on fear. Fear of scarcity. Fear of missing out. Fear of what people would think. You make decisions now based on clarity. What do I actually want? What actually moves me forward? What am I willing to trade my time for? These are not the questions of someone who is surviving. These are the questions of someone who is building something. And here's where the story turns. Because you are not the only person in this story. You never were. Right now, somewhere in America, there's a 23-year-old staring at their phone in the dark. $214 in their account. Rent due in 9 days. That tight feeling in their chest that never fully goes away. They don't know yet that this moment, this exact uncomfortable, anxious, suffocating moment, is the beginning of something. They think it's just another Monday. They think this is just life. They don't know the rules exist. They don't know the gap is crossable. They don't know that the only real difference between where they are and where they could be is not talent, not luck, not a family with money. It's a decision. Made quietly. Consistently. Over time. The system doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care where you started. It doesn't care about your zip code, your degree, your past mistakes. It rewards one thing and one thing only, showing up for your future self even when your present self doesn't want to. Most people never do that. Not because they can't. Because no one ever showed them it was possible. The question isn't whether the system works. It does. The question is whether you're going to learn the rules before it's too late. Because somewhere out there, someone your age just made their first investment. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They didn't wait until they had more money. They just started. And 10 years from now, that decision is going to look like the smartest thing they ever did. The alarm is going off. What are you going to do this morning?